might have just started tuning in, these people are not criminals, they're refugees. They are people who were fleeing for their lives from countries that wanted to hang them from cranes in the public square because they believe in a religion that is not, this is just a humane religion. It's just a religion like any other registered religion that exists on the face of this planet. They're following the Ahmadi religion of peace and light, and because of that, they're being persecuted in their country, so they go to seek asylum legally. They don't go to cut a fence and take a boat illegally and try and get into a country that they shouldn't be in because they don't have permission, because they don't have a visa. This is not the case. These men and women and children legally followed procedures that were advised by human rights organizations that told them, hey, if you want to be safe, you should follow the law. And the law says, come to the border, explain your situation so that you're individually assessed, and when it's completed, the assessment, they'll understand you are indeed persecuted, and therefore you are allowed to cross the border and seek asylum. This is the legal method. And not only did they verbally express their need, they made sure that prior to even leaving, they send an open letter that's been signed by over 25 human rights organizations that are all vouching that they are indeed persecuted, and they do require to be allowed to cross the border and to be given asylum in a safe place. But this did not take place, and not only have they been detained, not only are they facing deportation, possible deportation, just to add insult to injury, they are being tortured strategically in prison. They were beaten very badly, individually, one by one. They were beaten. They didn't spare the women. They also included them in the physical assault that was taking place with the men. The men were constantly beaten through the night to the extent that the women couldn't sleep from hearing the screams of the torture being inflicted on their men. The children were deprived. We've known this from before, but just to hear the fact that a child, an infant or a baby, 11-month-old baby would need milk and was not provided, the mother was not provided with what she needed to provide her child with milk. This is it's very horrific to know this is taking place. And what's the reason why? The reason why it's important that we go over this right now is because, again, you have to understand that it's unusual that we're not talking about incidents that took place once upon a time and that we are sad about, we are remembering it. We're talking about right now. We're living this. This is happening currently. We're talking about these people who are at the moment detained, and they're in that detention center, and they are suffering so severely. And the reason why it's important for everyone out there to understand that this is urgent is because it's happening right now. So everyone listening, whoever is a human rights organization, or if you're wherever you're from and you know how this is against the law, what they're going through.
If you heard, they piled up the bodies of the men and of the women too. They were like piling up people on top of one another until 20 people were piling up and people were suffocating on the bottom. This is images that you have seen, that's in the worst of war condition in prison. This
was a war crime in Iraq that took place, and people were outraged because of how inhumane it was, and they said this cannot be allowed, it has to be stopped. It was taken to court, the piling of human beings on top of each other.
And now it's happening again here in Turkey to human beings that are completely innocent. There are families, children,
mothers,
women.
And children are involved in this whole thing. There's no going about it. I mean, now we find out that there's even, I mean, this is what he's saying. He's saying he's being sexually abused, harassed, and now, on top of that, they clearly know what they're doing is wrong. What they're doing is illegal, and they know it, because then they say, if you tell anyone, we will hurt you more. If you tell the doctor what's going on, you're going to be in trouble. They are not wanting the information to come out because they understand that what they're doing is not okay. This is not something that's in their system that they're meant to do. This is not a law that they're abiding by. This is a problem. This is a huge crime that's being committed right now against innocent refugees, men, women, and children, old men, old women, patients with health conditions. No one is being spared. There's no going about it. This is an absolute crime against humanity. We know from previous testimonies that they were coerced and forced to sign documents that were in Turkish, so that people couldn't understand what they were signing. And those documents indicate that the people signing them are saying that they are involved in a terrorist organization, which is an absolute lie. So false confessions were forced out of these people. And this is something that it has to be understood. These are absolute crimes. It's totally against the law. The way they've been treated and the way they are being treated, it has to be stopped. Turkey has to be told to stop what it's doing immediately, and these people have to be released from this condition that they are suffering in. We cannot sit back quietly. The world has to hear about it. Why are we sitting here? What's the purpose of showing all this? I mean, first of all, we're sitting here because this platform insists and demands that Turkey stop what it's doing and stop this inhumane, unjust behavior and release those prisoners from their clutches, stop this consistent torture that they're inflicting on the men, women and children, the old people, everyone. They have to stop, and they have to not break the law of refoulement, where it's that they send these refugees back to their countries. They cannot do that. Deportation of refugees is against international humanitarian law as per the United Nations. So for Turkey to do that would be really a very bad idea, and we really, really, really insist that Turkey does not do such a thing. We're also very grateful that the media is taking an interest on the situation, shedding light on what's going on. This is not just, by the way, this is not just Turkish news or Bulgarian news. This is an international news piece at the moment. You have places around the world that are actually taking an interest in what's going on, because it is quite a horrific situation that needs to be discussed, needs to be resolved. This and other cases like this, where refugees are being mistreated and oppressed, this has to stop. We do have lines of communication open with the UN. The United Nations is taking an interest in what's going on, and they want to understand what's happening.
We're thankful for that.
We're thankful for that, and we are hopeful, and we are very hopeful that something will come out of this, and that these people will receive the justice that they deserve. These mothers, these children, these little babies, these old men, these young teenage boys, these 8-year-old children, they deserve the justice that they deserve for what's going on. If you stand against this unjust treatment, then please sign the petition that is on our website to show your support and to show how imminent the danger is, how urgent the matter is. Go to our website, which is theahmadireligion.org. Please sign the petition and spread the word. I think for today we are done with today's updates, and we'll be going into more news as the day goes on. And until then, wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.